Greetings! We're happy to welcome you on the live broadcast of the breaking news on Altai TV. Friends, what we have just seen is only a small part of the climatic disasters that took place in just 2 weeks of June this year. And today, we have decided to start with the most important thing, what we must do now to survive the global on Earth. We believe that the only chance for all humanity is to unite and to build a greater society. Let us watch an excerpt of an exclusive interview for Altai TV channel with Igor Mikhailovich Danilov about the creative society.
I would like to find out the following. What is actually the creative society? How do you envision it? Who is society focused on?
It is focused on a person, the creative society, in my opinion personally. Of course, there are as many opinions as there are people, but yet again, the creative society, it's just simple. It's so simple and it's so comfortable and convenient for a person. Why? Because it's focused on person's benefits and freedoms. And that's the entire meaning of a creative society. There are no lies, no deception, and then most importantly, there's no institution of power because all of the power is dedicated to a person. So there's no structures above it. That's the whole point, and everything's dependent on us. And yet again, we are getting to the unity and integrity of our attention, where we input it and invest it all together. If we all want to live good and well, if we want to live in dignity as a person and as a human being, in that we are supposed to input our attention or invest it. So our time, our efforts, our forces for a build-up of a future for ourselves and for our descendants and future generation. If people get an approach right now, then really the build-up of creative society is really simple. I can say it's so much simple because if we would realistically want that, and if you would need to understand the whole meaning of creative society, then we will be able to build it in 10 years. 10 years, and we will live in this creative society. But yet again, it depends on people and their desires and inspiration. If we do nothing and we just hope that somebody else will do something, it's not going to happen like that, because creative society is actually the task and the deed of every person. It's not just the task, for example, of some idea-driven people or fellows who are supposed to do something for somebody. No, this is the task for each and one of us, right? Isn't that so? And all together, we will be able to achieve that.
Perhaps you have a question, but how are the climate, the union of people, and the creative society connected in general? And the connection is actually direct. And I've also had this question. Friends, please imagine how a person who has survived the cataclysm feels when he's lost his house, lost all his property, or lost his family and friends. After all, people, in most cases, are left alone with their misfortune. And only in the creative society, each person will be protected from any threats, because such a society is directed towards the people themselves. As you just heard in the video, no one will be left without food. The society will be taking care of every person, because society is every person. So no one would be left in the creative society hungry or without shelter, and most importantly, any person wouldn't be left without support and assistance of society. Now we move on, and in one of the previous videos we already told you about the worst drought in the Czech Republic in 500 years, which has been observed in the country for the last 5 years. But in June, the situation changed radically, and the red alert was declared due to the manifestations of a completely different force of nature. Other European countries were also affected by the same force of nature. Now we have a report from the Czech Republic. Václav, can you hear us?
Hello, I can hear you very well.
Thank you, we also hear you well. Please, the floor is yours.
Hello, this is Reality TV reporter from Czech Republic. Since June 20, 2020, raids in several regions of the Czech Republic. Unfortunately, there are casualties. In the north and the northeast of the country, the water level in the rivers has risen due to heavy rains. Extensive areas have been flooded in the area of Ridgeland. Earlier, from the 13th to the 15th June, resulting in flash floods. In some areas, people had to be evacuated. In the Zlín region, as a result of heavy rain, roads were so flooded that cars were tied up in the mud and had to be removed with excavators. This is the second wave of sudden floods in the country. In the last few days, about a week ago, flooding in the Olomouc region caused a serious damage and death of a person. Powerful downpour with gusty winds hit Budapest and its surrounding in Hungary. Unfortunately, there is one casualty. The storm that lasted for several hours left behind flooded streets, cellars and underground passages. Also, trees were downed and power lines were cut. On June 16, 2020, a powerful storm covered the northern Greece. It was accompanied by a heavy rainstorm with hail. In the periphery of Eastern Macedonia and Thrace, the city of Drama was affected by natural forces. In some places, the height of the layer of falling hail was about 40 centimeters, and therefore traffic was paralyzed. As a result of a disaster, trees were downed and houses were flooded. Heavy rainfall with hail in Istanbul and Bursa province in Turkey also caused severe flooding. As a result, offices, residential buildings and roads were flooded, making traffic difficult. In addition, a lightning strike was recorded on the roof of the building, causing a fire. Thank you very much. Now I'm giving the floor back to studio.
Right, Václav, thank you very much for your news. In addition, we have a video from Slovakia. Let us look at what is happening through the eyes of an eyewitness.
Hello, my name is Mikhail Kocurek. I live in Dolny Kubin in northern Slovakia. I would like to share with you observations of abnormal weather manifestations that have been going on for quite a long time. After a prolonged drought with high temperatures, heavy rains came, causing floods in many parts of Slovakia. On June 21st, a second-degree warning was issued, warning against possible danger due to heavy rains and floods for the areas of Mesto, Tvrdošín, the districts of Bytca, Kysuce Nové Mesto, Žilina, Považská Bystrica, Banská Bystrica, Martin, Dolin Kubin, Rožomberok, and Lipovský Mikuláš, Poprad, Kežmarok, Stara Ljubovna, and Sabinov had the same warning, only in the first degree. In the municipality of Zubny, in the Humene district, the water flow washed away the bridge. In the Bratislava region, firefighters had to go on 18 calls, most often to scoop up excessive water. Many cellars were flooded not only in Bratislava but all over Slovakia. The same happened in Mestovo and other cities, mainly in the east of the country. In addition to heavy rains, hailstorm larger than usual fell in the area of Nemestovo. I've never encountered such strong and prolonged weather manifestations in my life. And I see it happen all over the world. And that's why it's very important that everyone knows about it. After all, we are living in a time of global change, which in the very near future will affect the life of every person on planet Earth. And we as humanity have one last chance to unite and do everything together to survive those difficult times that are coming. So let us unite, because for me the most important thing is the life of a human being on Earth. Because we should remember that each of us, the life of a person should be important.
At the same time, almost overnight, different regions of Russia suffered from a number of natural disasters, some of which took lives, unfortunately. Infrastructure and crops have also been severely damaged. A state of emergency was declared in the Kamchatka region. Altai TV reporter from Russia will tell us about the reasons for these incidents. Vitaly, greetings. Can you hear us well?
Hello, yeah, I can hear you very well.
We can hear you well. Please, the floor is yours.
Hello, this is Altai TV reporter from Moscow. On June 18, 2020, after a record heat, a thunderstorm, downpour, hail and gusty wind hit St. Petersburg, resulting in partial underflooding of roadways in several parts of the city. Roads were flooded and trees were downed. Unfortunately, there are injured and dead. And on June 20th, in the south of Moscow, there was the strongest downpour with thunderstorms and hail for the last 92 years. In a few hours, half of the monthly amount of rainfall fell. Streets, highways, and underground passages were flooded. Several settlements in different regions of Russia were affected by major hail. As a result, many buildings and residential buildings have been damaged, and thousands of hectares of crops have been destroyed. In Smidovichi district of the Jewish Autonomous Region, an emergency regime was introduced. In Yakutia, beyond the Arctic Circle, there is a small town, Verkhoyansk, which is called the cold pole of the Northern Hemisphere. In 1892, a record low temperature of minus 67.7 degrees were recorded there. And on June 20, 2020, a new record was fixed, about 38 degrees above zero. As reported, this is the first time such temperatures have been observed in a year in the history of meteorological observations. According to experts, similar temperatures in the northern regions of Yakutia are caused by the warm masses brought by the anticyclone. On June 25th, an abnormal weather phenomena occurred in Altai. In summer, snow suddenly fell on the Semensky Pass, and the temperature dropped to -1 degree. It has surprised people a lot, and the average temperature in this region in June is plus 18-20 degrees. And not far from the Altai village of Novobivka, quite a big hailstorm fell out. In June, the situation with the forest fires worsened. More than 30,000 hectares of forest are burning across Russia. The largest areas of fire are in Yakutia, Kamchatka, Chukotka, and Magadan Oblast. A state of emergency has been declared in 2 districts of the Kamchatka region.
Right, Vitaly, thank you very much. And I would also like to ask you, I know that you live in the south of Moscow, where floods and heavy rains. What you have seen, or what our viewers have watched in the video, what has been happening in the south of Moscow, right? That was really serious flooding. And can you just tell us how was it all happening as an eyewitness?
Yes, Svetlana, I saw it myself. I just went out to the balcony, and around 15-20 minutes the sky was bright clear, and then it became very dark. Yeah, and when I went out to the balcony, I saw that I saw a lot of thunderstorms, and usually in the Moscow I don't usually see the lightnings, and now this time it was striking into the earth, and after a few minutes it began a very rainy. It started. The downpour was very strong, and some cars stopped, and it brought a lot of damage. Yeah, that's it.
Right, thank you for your news and for your report as an eyewitness. And we move on with the breaking news. So the force of nature does not choose the place for itself on the map. Unfortunately, in different parts of the world, people die because of cataclysms. June was no an exception. What happened in the USA, UK, Côte d'Ivoire, and Nepal, a lot of your reporter will tell us from the United States. Anna, greetings. Can you hear us? Good morning. Thank you very much for joining us. I know that right now it's early morning in the US. Can you hear us? If you can hear us well, please, the floor is yours.
Yes, I hear you well. Thank you. Hello, this is Alternative Reporter from USA. In June 2020, forest fires are raging in the southern United States. The largest areas of fire have been recorded in Arizona, where the fire was recognized as one of the biggest in its history. The fire also covered vast areas in California, Colorado, New Mexico, and Nevada. Low humidity and strong winds contribute to the spread of the flame. In some areas, the fire is getting close to residential areas where residents are evacuated. In Guatemala and Honduras, heavy rains continue, causing landslides and flooding. These cataclysms have already affected thousands of people and caused thousands of deaths. On June 16, 2020, thunderstorms and rains were observed in the UK. As a result, almost a month's rainfall fell in just 3 hours. There were fires in several houses due to the lightning hitting the roof. Fortunately, the firefighters reached quickly, saving people. On June 18, Côte in the city of Abidjan have a monthly rainfall rate well within 48 hours. That's a lot, even though the rainy season is in the country. Floods have destroyed roads and rail tracks. In the town of Anyama, a landslide has demolished dozens of houses and killed people. A similar situation was on June 13 in Nepal's Parbat districts. Heavy rains also caused landslides there, resulting in the loss of lives and missing people. Thank you.
At the beginning of today's episode, we have talked about the creative society, which has already been implemented on the platform of Altai International Public Movement. According to our tradition, we're going to talk today about one of the 8 foundations of the creative society. That sounds like the 6th foundation, development of personality. Every person in the creative society has the right to comprehensive development and personal fulfillment. Education should be free and equally accessible to all, creating conditions and expanding opportunities for a human to implement his or her creative abilities and talents. What conclusion can we draw from today's episode? The climate is subject to natural cyclical changes, and it's already clear that it's not a consequence of human activity. We can't lie to ourselves and say that that has happened before and soon it'll all stop. What's happening now is happening for us as a civilization for the first time, and we no longer have time to just watch it. We only have time to act, but to act together. When we stop dividing ourselves into territories and leaving the people who are now suffering the most from climate change, justifying that this is their country and therefore their problems. When all of humanity will join forces and focus on creating a society that can survive the greatest ideals that have already begun for us. When we unite the potential of all scientists to study disaster prediction and find ways to protect humanity in an integrated manner, only then will we have a chance. At the end of today's episode, we invite you to watch a snippet from the conversation behind the scenes after filming the video Climate Change, the beginning of a big disaster. It's totally paradoxical because scientists say that it's increasing, but some forecasters who make forecasts for 2020 say that the worst of the hurricanes have already passed, and they expect recovery of global.
So do you have to show them what kind of hurricanes can be in 2020? The good thing was that
So they're sure. It's just kind of information.
Many people think like, yes, now it's getting warm and warm, but next year it will be cold.
The question is not that it will get warmer. It doesn't matter. The process of the destruction is being launched. The temperature outside today is not important. The question is the globality of changes, and that, I beg your pardon, the measure of the average temperature outside of your window is anymore on the scale. There's are completely different processes, and everybody understand it. Why there are rifts, why there are fires and rifts. So this is a simple question. So is it the problem of the climate? Not really. It's a different processes. Sure, and everything's much more serious, and we are also not aware of the processes, and we are mentioning about the processes that are not being seen by the bare eye. The reason for which ones are the changes in the temperature outside of your window, absence of snow or the excess of snow, the fact that there are wildfires on the rift lines, and so on and so forth. But it doesn't add up, right?
Yes, there are no technical means.
Of course. And what means the humankind has to withstand, nature. So that what can do? We can do there, but what to withstand it? Well, how?
Consciousness forbids people. The walls between them.
And that's true.
No one knows how the situation will turn, so it's possible that you've built against your friend will play.
It's going to prevent you from running towards your friend when things get roughly, right? So that's the serious reason too. And the building a wall that nobody comes to you maybe also be an obstacle in your way when you have to run on that side. So we're doing fine or something else like that, and there's a problem.
The events is unpredictable already. As we already mentioned today, that very much depends on people and that humanity can still be saved. What can each person do right now? Like those people who have watched this video for the first time and listening, and they have a question, but what can I do locally? Well, it's clear that nothing depends on politicians on the top. What can I do?
But what? You can do a lot. If you figured it out, understood, you could explain to your friend what you have figured out yourself. And then just one person, but two who will join a society of people that understand. And the two can explain to the third one, or there are already three of you. And isn't that right? And that's how society comes up together. We don't have to wait until it puts up and we're on the cliff, and we will have to hold our hands together. Except it won't be meaningless because it wouldn't solve anything. But if we would join our hands much sooner and do everything, that we wouldn't be able to be pushed to that cliff, right? Isn't that right? Much depends on every single person, and that is true.